take us to the thing there so we can verify that. And click update again for me down there.
Are we recording the audio as well?
Where do I type? Where's the update?
Right there.
We recording the audio as well?
Okay, we're live there. I forgot to click go. Go down to the very bottom of the screen.
Oh.
And studio. And click right there. There we go. We're on. We're live.
We're live.
Welcome,
all right,
everybody. This is episode number 8, the Sour Source Talk Show.
This is 8? What was
podcast
7?
Podcast show. I think this is 8. I believe this is 8.
Maybe. We'll find out.
If not, next time it'll be 8 again. Say 8.2.
Yeah. How you doing, man? It's been a couple days.
It's been a little bit. Had a lot of stuff going on. Just trying to get caught up on things and deal with things as they come, bit by bit.
I'm in a glass case of emotion right now.
I'm here to throw a stone and break you free, set you out.
It's
sultry.
Been a rough couple days for me, man. I'm not gonna lie.
You want to talk about it?
We can talk about it.
Okay.
The fucking roof caved in. Fucking.
We should laugh at that. Terrible.
The big crack running through the roof, running through my ceiling, and I was like, hit up my landlord like a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey man, is that like something I should be concerned about? He's like, it's always been there. I came home and my roof was fell through.
Make sure you give him a referral card to our podcast. Hey, listen to our new episode.
Listen to this. We're fucking talk shit about you.
Yeah, we're gonna roast you.
But
it's fine. There's nothing you need to worry about.
Oh no, I don't want him to listen to the podcast because I'm gonna get like into why landlords are gonna be the first ones fucking guillotined. First one's fed to the guillotine.
Exactly. Man. He's actually upstairs right now, like putting drywall in or just roofing wall in.
Meanwhile, we're plotting his demise.
So we're in the meantime, we're in a new little spot here.
Oh yeah. If you guys could tell the difference in scenery, we are now in my basement because my living room fucking roof fell through. So.
If you like it, leave some comments.
Yeah, see if we'll start doing it from down here from now on.
Someday, the goal is to have a real studio to do these out of.
Someday.
Tell your friends about us.
But
share it. Social media on the Insta Twitter.
Yeah.
And the Facegrams and the Snap holes, whatever it is people use these days.
Do we have a Snapchat? Why? I don't know.
Snapchat?
No,
I've never gotten onto Snapchat.
I don't know.
I just don't ever.
Yeah.
It's all Facebook now. They're actually changing the names on all that stuff. Did you hear about this?
Mm-mm.
They're now I think it's gonna be like Snapchat by Facebook. Like they're shoehorning Facebook into every thing they own. It's not gonna be Instagram. It's Instagram by Facebook or something like that. Yeah. So
it
awesome.
doesn't matter. You'll know it's Instagram.
Oh no, they want it's country. You're bound by the terms and conditions. Like you have to say, look, you can't say look me up on the gram. It's got to be look me up on Instagram by Facebook. Copyright 2019. Trademark.
That's
I'm
dumb.
kidding.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. Like, there's eventually just going to be monopolies on the internet. Like, eventually, like, Facebook and Google will merge, and then that'll be it. That'll be like 90% of internet bandwidth will be just owned by one company.
Yeah, well, that's actually interesting because you saying that reminded me of something I read earlier with good old DJT and his leaked executive order calling for mass internet censorship.
Yeah. Awesome. Because it's funny because, like, anytime like a right winger gets banned off of like Twitter or YouTube or something, not even banned, just like demonetized, they'll cry censorship.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, he's not making money, that's not censorship. But but then their dude that they love calling for mass censorship.
Oh yeah, it's the best idea ever.
You know, he's the one who put what's his name, Ajit Pai, in charge of the FCC anyway. So it's like,
and his 1,000-gallon mug.
And that was his fucking. That was the end goal of getting rid of net neutrality to begin with, was to essentially have corporate censorship. Now we're going to have government censorship and corporate censorship. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, triple censorship, followed with face recognition so they can track you left and right. Not to stoke any fears. Be afraid. Be very, very afraid.
Yeah. No, now that Alex Jones has been deplatformed, I think that there's a vacuum in the market that we need to get into it.
It's a vacuum. It's the electromagnetic waves that turn the frog gay. There's the chemicals in the water. No, it's the technology now. It's the 5G. It's the 5G. It's causing it's turning all the snakes gay. Yeah. The birds, they're not flying because of the waves.
I don't know. I don't think we have the raw charisma of Alex Jones.
Or the body mass.
Alex Jones, man.
Hey, he works out. He
right.
works. Yeah, he does.
Did you
He
ever
also
see?
used, like,
Yeah, he works out when he's flailing around.
Did you ever see that?
It's the new P90X DVDs.
He had like when he was trying to like hawk his supplements, he had like a before and after pic,
Yeah.
and it was the same fucking picture. He was just red in the second one.
Chock full of red 40s.
But
That is so good.
man,
No, there was a guy running for the Congress around here in the area, and I remember tweeting with him because it was during the with the Jeep Pie and the net neutrality stuff, and they were asking like, what is your take on net neutrality? And that's exactly what I said. I was like, here's the problem: is corporations have nothing left to do but buy influence, and if they can stop you from finding, like if you have a very pro right wing. And even pro left wing platform, it doesn't matter. It's just like they can keep you from finding the opposing view.
Because that's kind of the funniest thing is that like right wingers are the ones defending like the repeal of net neutrality, yet they're the ones who are going to be hit the hardest because companies are very socially liberal. Yeah. Because it turns out that minorities and gay people still spend money, so it hurts your business. Hurts your business to alienate them. So when you have like a heavy conservative show that's gonna alienate those groups, then that's the one that's gonna get throttled.
That's like when there's like the Twitter controversy, with them banning whoever and whatever for whatever reason. It's like a lot of people are like, Twitter has a left-leaning bias. It's like, I don't necessarily think that is the case. I think it's more like they make more money from those people, so it seems that way.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's no like conglomerate corporation that has left-leaning bias. Like it just doesn't. Like you might have individuals that work for these companies, like all these like, nominally liberal tech guys in, California, but at the end of the day, economically, they're going to do whatever's best for their business, which is inherently right-wing politics. Mm-hmm. So they will, like pander to, being socially liberal. But at the end of the day, like they're going to support capitalism.
Yeah, they. I thought of a fun segment that I was going to work on that I haven't done yet, but in the future I'm going to bring it up. There's a website out there called Open Secrets, where they kind of break down who's donating who to what.
Okay.
And I was going to start looking into major companies and say, let's see exactly where they're donating money to.
Well, I did just see a list of companies that are financing like Donald Trump's reelection. But I just saw one.
Bang.
I saw one like Facebook post about it, so I don't know. Like I didn't like double check, so I can't like accurately say. But I think like McDonald's was on it, Taco Bell was on it.
Oh,
like,
no, not Taco Bell.
Carl's Jr., which actually that one hurts me.
Carl's Jr. too.
Yeah.
No, my Monster Burger.
I don't think this is the first. This is the first we were hearing about Carl's Jr. I think they always kind of fund conservative candidates, but In-N-Out. Which, I mean, you guys are from...
In-N-Out? I have a T-shirt.
Yeah, you guys are from, like, California, so it might not hurt you the way that it hurts me. But In-N-Out, a lot of people don't know, is, like, a Christian company. Huh. Like, underneath their cups, they have, like Bible verses and stuff. So...
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. But I'm also looking at the bottom of the cup.
That's all right. Wendy's has a superior hamburger.
Yeah,
anyways.
they're not...
Go on.
I know. It took me a second to process what he said too.
Like you ever just hear something like so dumb that you just like have a brain aneurysm? Wendy's has
I
better.
can't even talk right. I'm so pissed off.
Wendy's has better burgers than In-N-Out. Wendy's has better burgers.
For a basic burger?
Do you want to know where I get that from?
No, because it's nonsense.
It is because I've never had an In-N-Out burger.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
I have nothing to compare it to.
Fair enough. But then don't just say some outlandish fucking shit like that. Like
I did it for the lulz.
Oh, no.
So companies donating. Back on topic here.
Oh, God. In-N-Out, though, is...
End the stream. We're done.
It's good for just a burger. As a burger, it's good.
I think as far as, like a cheap fast food joint, like, it's going to be better than, like, Burger King and McDonald's. Like, I'd rather go to Wendy's than those two. But, like, for an actual, like, burger experience, you're going to In-N-Out.
Oh, no, because they're basic, aren't they?
In-N-Out?
I
In-N-Out,
consider.
it's just you can't add like a bunch of like.
Yeah, you get.
It's all just a hamburger.
No, you get a
and fries.
double animal style, baby. It comes with spread sauce, and it comes with
Spread sauce?
yeah,
I haven't
Comes
had
and
it
it comes with
forever.
grilled onions.
It comes with the MP3 download of the Bad Touch by Bloodhound Gang.
It comes with a free copy of God's Not Dead.
Yeah. Our Lord, what's that song? Our God is an awesome God. Yeah, it just plays in the background like subliminally at like such a high pitch that you can't actually hear it. It's subliminal,
Just like in your brain. But it's Carl's Jr. though. It's fire. You guys have Hardee's. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
the
same
menu's
thing.
slightly different though.
I
You
just
guys don't
like
have the
Smarties.
You don't have the Western burger
Oh,
out
I was
here.
gonna say the Jack in the Box. He's the one with the head, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the Family Guy.
Yeah, Jack in the Box is huge in California. There was one right next to my house where I grew up, and we would whenever we ditched school, we would go hang out in Jack in the Box. So I have fond memories of Jack in the Box, but the food's not that great.
I haven't really ever had one of those either.
Yeah, it's not. You're not missing out on much.
Fair enough.
I think like McDonald's like bottom. Well, no, McDonald's takes out Burger King.
I consider McDonald's like the standard. Like a lot of people are like, "What are you talking about?" But as like it's like the standard in which you should weigh your burger to. Like
I feel like it's definitely
That's garbage food.
It's definitely closer to the bottom. I don't know. I haven't been
like you shouldn't be making a burger
while.
worse
No,
than
when
a
I ate that
McDonald's
cheese-
hamburger. Like that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because you can eat a McDonald's burger, might make you sick, but you could eat
It
one
will
and,
make you
and
sick.
you can generally like go to just about any McDonald's and get equivalent quality. Like some restaurant chains are just so up and down. Like you never know.
Yeah.
What a good one's gonna be. Like Taco Bell, you just never know if you're gonna get a good one or not.
I feel like there's generally a standard when it comes to like fast food joints, but McDonald's are pretty bad.
I like McNuggets.
Burger King,
McNuggets.
I go to Burger King like once a year because I'm like I haven't been here in a while. Like maybe like did I like this last time? And then I eat it and I'm like, okay, now I see why I haven't been here
Yeah,
in a while.
I'm talking that original chicken sandwich, bruh.
From the Boyga
Burger
King,
King, from the King of Boygas.
from King of Boygas. Let's see.
I actually don't like the Whopper very much either. But that original chicken sandwich. I don't know what they put in that, but that thing is so good.
Dan, you eat
I
it
could eat-
plain. You
I
don't
do.
Eat it with
I don't need
anything
anything else. I'm
It's
a plain
always
eater.
plain.
Yeah.
That's where I get
And
my
then-
figure.
I've heard good things about like McDonald's actual like expensive burgers, like not like their like Big Macs and shit, but like they have like
Their
like
chicken, the grilled
like
chicken
Angus
sandwich?
burgers and shit like that.
yeah,
The only
these-
time I ever go to McDonald's is if I'm like running late for work and I want to pick up some breakfast real quick. I'll swing by, but like I haven't had a burger from McDonald's in a long
Not a
time.
burger. I don't
Yeah.
know burgers, but I'll get the grilled chicken sandwich. That's
Yeah.
decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good. So yeah, no. The other day though, you had talked about Bang Energy financing
yeah.
Donald Trump. So
Yeah.
that struck me hard because I love me some Bang because it's chock full of that super creatine and ultra CoQ10
I feel like
that gives me the jump that I love.
creatine though, and this is just what I heard when I was like an athlete, is that like creatine just helps you like repair muscles faster, so you can like work out more frequently.
Work faster, jump
but
higher.
but your body naturally produces creatine, so when you start taking it from outside sources, if you stop that outside source, your muscles will start deteriorating quicker because your body's not producing as much as it used to. If you're not working out hard,
It's not working.
if you're not working out hard, you don't really need creatine.
It's not showing on here.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know why we started talking about fast food for the longest.
Yeah. But anyways,
yeah.
no. So what I was saying was though with Bang Energy, looked it up just out of curiosity. Is where I got the idea for the talking about like
my
company
God.
donations and
I didn't
whatnot.
realize that's what that said on the thing. Headlock and noogie her for 10 seconds. About what? What did I say?
I don't know.
It
If
was probably
anything,
about that McDonald's.
I don't know. If
It's
anything,
garbage.
Robert needs to get noogied for saying that Wendy's was better than In-N-Out. But
Dude, I'll take that Baconator all day long. But no, so Bang Energy, right? So the company itself is not financing DJT, but the parent company, Vital Pharmaceuticals, the CEO is hardcore. So in kind of a roundabout way, they are financing Trump's reelection. And as such, I have returned to Mountain Dew's Gamer Fuel.
fair enough. I drink Red Bull. I don't.
Red Bull.
I just
Oh my
and Red Bull is not financing Donald Trump as far as I know. However, The reason I drink Red Bull is just because, like, this, I've convinced myself that it's the healthier of the energy drinks. Because I'm like, it doesn't taste like anything, and it doesn't have like any like crazy colors. So I'm like, this probably has like the least amount of additives. I don't know if that's true or
You
not.
can actually make it at home. Do you know that?
I didn't know that. Probably not going to do it though.
No, me neither. I've always thought about it because you can also use the base of it. It's like citral oil or something like that. You can also make you make mixed drinks out of it, like Jaeger bombs. Favorite drink right there.
Okay.
Except with Monster, not that Red Bull.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
Formerly
I like
Bang.
Jägermeister, I guess.
Dude, let me see. Jaeger.
I like gin for the most part.
Gin. Yep.
Yeah, I can't even taste gin. So
Spiced rum. That's my drink of choice.
okay.
More than one boat has been hijacked in my presence with that Capitan. You know what I'm saying?
Rum's a little sweet for me. I'm not a huge rum dude.
Right.
But yeah. Other than my roof caving in though, also
That's rum worthy.
that's one of the reasons I'm fucking sad right now. But also seen this girl for a while, and I just took her 2 hours away to move yesterday. So I'm a little sore right now.
Ah,
And
we still have the podcast.
so the
Slash show.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take all of that like angst and put it into like getting super jacked.
Nothing wrong with that. I do got some
Watch my
creatine.
transformation on the stream.
Yeah.
Just
The
watch
workout
this
streams.
one and then check back in a couple months. I'm gonna be swole.
You guys can check us out on our new workout stream and tell us all of our bad form and figures. But no, so yeah. Let's see here.
None of that was what we were supposed to talk about.
No, we're getting there. No, the one thing I wanted to open up with, which I thought was fun, before we get into the more serious stuff, is I did happen to watch me some Detective Pikachu. I liked it. 8 out of 10. The only
eight out of. You're clearly not a discerning movie critic, but
I'm an easy person to please. You put Mewtwo in a movie, instant
I enjoyed
8.
it. For what it is, for a kids
It's
movie,
fine.
for a children's movie, and Pokemon.
It's fine, and it was, I'm not so jaded that I didn't like enjoy seeing because Pokemon was such a huge part of my childhood. That seeing him live action. Seeing him live action, it excited the child in me, sure. But just from an actual movie standpoint, it's fine.
Yeah, I think they needed a better lead and co-lead.
Yeah, the main dude I'm not a huge fan of because the only other thing I've seen him in was Jurassic World 2, which is
I think that's the only major movie he's been in.
the dumbest movie ever made.
What? didn't like
Jurassic
that?
World 2.
Solid 9 out of 10 on that
Oh
one.
man, we could do a whole hour review of how dumb that movie. Everything in it is.
What? The dinosaur was so cute, the way it grinned.
So I liked
That-
when it was in the cage,
That's
it was
got
like,
nothing-
Yeah, I'm gonna be sneaky.
Oh, that makes a good movie having a
Yeah.
fucking cute dino. No, dude, that
That's
movie.
what makes Pokemon so good.
Yeah.
all
Detective Pikachu.
that movie just relies so much on everyone doing the dumbest thing at the dumbest time, and also just massive coincidence.
The connection between the raptor and the trainer.
Okay,
Blue.
we're not gonna
It's basically Detective Pikachu, the prequel.
They did a lot
because
better with it.
it turns out it's part of the extended universe. It's the same. It's the same character that was in that
they're
movie.
just
That's
on the
in
wrong
Detective
side of the
Pikachu.
world.
No, yeah, Jurassic World's so stupid. The dumbest part that you can use as a microcosm of the film as a whole is when they're trying to sell the Indoraptor as a weapon, and they're like, if you take this gun and you point it at somebody, and then you use a laser pointer, and then you hit a button that makes a noise, that raptor will attack that guy. And it's you're already fucking pointing a gun at him and a laser. Why wouldn't you just shoot him at that point? How the fuck does bringing in a raptor to come kill him a more effective way than just a gun? That movie's so stupid. They're the official story is that you guys died on the island. Well, then kill them. Why are you keeping them alive? Why are you putting them in a cell that has a window and the only dinosaur next to them happens to be the one that can break them out? Did you not think through any of this? What the fuck is wrong with you?
It's that line from The Incredibles, hooey, you got me monologuing.
Yeah.
100% what that is.
Detective Pikachu, no respect to Blastoise too, so it loses a couple points for me. Because Blastoise is my favorite Pokemon. favorite non-legendary. I think Suicune is my favorite like Pokemon of all. Well, and then I like Wooper.
Oh, where was
I think
my-
Wooper's cute.
Wooper's awesome.
So he's my favorite, but Blastoise is my
I didn't
first
see my
Pokemon.
Blaziken. Not even one Blaziken.
What would my
I
I
favorite
didn't
be?
see it.
Was there not a
Not even,
Blaziken?
not even in the back, and I was like, there
I
has to
didn't
be
see
someone walking
No,
around.
they
with
used
a black-
Greninja like 50 times.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, he was all over.
But yeah, I don't know. The movie just the twists like saw coming from like a fucking mile away.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, like spoilers, but at no point did he go like, "Fucking Pikachu sounds a lot like my dad." That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, no, he didn't know
Well, he
his
didn't
dad very
know.
much.
Yeah,
Remember?
he hadn't talked to him in 20
God, pay
years.
attention. That's why you couldn't enjoy the movie. You're so
I
sad.
I haven't seen my biological dad in like 20 years, and I couldn't tell you what he sounds
Yeah, I
like.
don't know my dad's voice.
It hasn't been that long. Hasn't been that long in that movie.
Well, and it's been like 11 years for
Yeah,
him.
plus he went through all the trauma. His mom died.
Oh, so it makes
and
you forget voices now? Okay.
Yeah. Better
yeah, he's
than hearing
busy
voices.
with life. He's doing accounting. That's hard. That's stressful.
He did insurance work.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he's
yeah,
a scam. He's a legalized scam artist.
Yeah.
Insurance work.
Anyway,
Okay.
how long do you want to stay on Detective
yeah,
Pikachu?
we
Because it's
can,
not
That's not. Yeah. You got your rant,
It
and
is-
that's all I needed.
his plan of like, we're going to fuse people with Pokemon. Why? To what end, really, though? And
Yeah.
then like, I'm going to put my brain into this Mewtwo.
That makes
But I'm gonna
sense.
leave you in the room with my like
Body.
defenseless body.
Yeah.
You could very easily just knock this thing off of me. That's
He didn't-
keeping
he
And
didn't
it took
take
him a
me
minute to
control.
figure it out, though. Remember,
Yeah.
it did the zoom in where it was.
Oh
he
yeah,
was
because
like,
he's fucking
"Whoa."
stupid.
Yeah. Because he didn't listen to his Pokemon. He didn't have that bond. He didn't want to be the very best. He didn't want to be the best that ever was. That's the problem.
Like no one ever wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, catching them is my real test.
Oh, by the way, best part of the movie is when he's depressed and singing the song.
Oh yeah,
But okay.
yeah.
So-
It was fine. It was fine. I just didn't love it.
I enjoyed it. But all right, well, we can get into the more
Yeah.
other stuff here. What do we got wrote down here? Oh yeah, we are gonna try to later on in the show revisit our big question that we failed to get to last week or last time we were on, because we ended up on a extraordinarily long discussion of morality.
Yeah.
So we'll try to come back to that one later on, and it'll be the same one this week. You know, guns, do they protect or kill?
Or do they do both? Stay tuned to find out.
Why? Why are you gonna bring up?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
no. That's
anything can happen. This is a good. This is
Yeah.
what we had no intention to talk about why the Baconator is the superior burger, and here we are, still in universal agreement on it. Moving on. Baconator.
Baconator's fine.
Delicious.
Just don't get the obsession of bacon.
By
but-
the way, I bought this mayo chup. It's like half mayo, half ketchup mixture from Heinz.
Sure.
Great, love it. I want all my condiments mixed
Yeah.
pre-burger.
I like there's like the sriracha mayo.
Oh
It's
yeah,
in the like Asian section of the grocery store.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty fire.
that's one I never got was sriracha. Like as a spice, like I don't know, it doesn't really taste like anything to me.
It's fine. It's a little sweet.
Yeah.
But the sriracha mayo is like fire though.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the one thing. Like anytime
Mayo's fire.
anytime someone like makes fun of white folks, they always got to talk about like mayonnaise.
Undercover
And it's
brother.
like but mayonnaise, like if you're not putting mayonnaise on your sandwiches, man, you're fucking up. Like mayonnaise is pretty good.
I'm still a plain eater.
At least not like Miracle Whip, because that.
Oh, that's gross.
Fuck.
Real mayo only.
Yeah, no. If you use Miracle Whip on your sandwiches, you're a sociopath.
Yeah. Fun fact for you: real mayo is keto friendly.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Because it's mostly fat. It's
Yeah,
just,
just suspended oil. Fats,
oil.
That
and
doesn't
egg.
mean you overload everything with mayo, though.
You don't gotta snort the mayo.
yeah. I do like mayo though.
I love mayo. But you don't have to put a bunch.
Yeah, that's probably like the whitest thing about me. Fucking, I like mayo.
No, everybody loves mayo. Mexicans love mayo. You put
Mexicans
mayo on
love
your
mayo.
tostadas and put all that meat on top.
Well, Mexicans put mayo
sour
on
cream.
their corn.
Yeah.
we
Oh,
do.
my
Oh yeah.
God.
Yeah, some elotes, fucking
Mhm.
fire. That's one thing I miss a lot
The
about
mice.
California, man, is that they used to just be fucking
The guy on the car.
guy in the car, yeah, the elotero.
Mm-hmm.
We had to do that at Pony
Walk-
too.
Yeah,
Good stuff. Good
miss
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the first, what do we got here? let's look here. I guess we can pick off some of the low-hanging fruit first. So Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't know. What do you think?
I saw somebody got to him. Somebody got a check.
So
and they got to him.
Something that's been misrepresented. He actually was not on suicide watch at the time that he killed himself.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's less suspicious with that piece of evidence. However, like if he wasn't killed, like the rich folk caught the luckiest break that anyone's ever caught. Like, it's coincidences happen, things happen all the time. So weird things happen all the time. However, this is so lucky, so lucky.
100, like those billionaires and all these rich people and high influencers, they just won the goddamn lottery.
Yeah, if they didn't murder him, then they just got so lucky.
Yeah. See, the thing about it though is, I mean, when you're looking at a guy like this, I mean, certified pervert. He's a billionaire himself, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had his own. I mean,
he's at least like a multi-millionaire. I don't know if he was a billionaire or not. But I know he made a good amount of money.
Yeah, he is loaded. He had his own private jet, and obviously he owned an island where horrific atrocities occurred. So the thing is kind of like two things. Like, number one, like, I feel like, I mean, he was going to go to jail for sure. There's no question about that. Well, but like what kind of deal could he have caught?
Yeah, that's the thing. He might not have ever spent any time in jail. Yeah. That's the thing is that, like, I don't know why he would have killed himself. Like, I get it. Like, you're a disgraced pedophile, and that's kind of the worst life to have, is to be like a known pedophile. But he could have easily gotten, like, if he threw everybody like under the bus, he'd have gotten like witness protection. You know, he could have started a brand new life where nobody knew him.
Murdered.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, is like whether or not he got killed or if he killed himself. So the thing is that I just don't know why he would kill himself, because he could have cut a deal.
Right.
Absolutely.
He could have got something out of it. He could have got Mueller in there and been like, look, I'll only talk to you.
But I'll give up everybody. I don't give a fuck.
Because even if you look through like the corrupt, Justice Department with Barr and all that jazz, if you want to look past all that stuff, yeah, he could have said, like, I'll only talk to somebody I trust and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Donald Trump thinks the Clintons murdered him.
I don't think Donald Trump actually thinks. I can't. I can't speak for the man.
I believe he thought it for exactly 20 seconds while he tweeted it.
His brain is so choked with Big Mac sauce. I don't know what is going on in it, but like
Big Mac
to really just to deflect and like trash the Clintons is something that he's like wanting to do. The thing is, like,
White Castle and Diet Coke.
Like, anytime like I bring up though, like, yeah, Donald Trump kind of knew this man pretty intimately. Mm-hmm. Like he and Donald Trump has been, accused of raping underage girls before. So I don't think I don't think that it's like outside the realm of possibilities. But like they always go like, well, what about the Clintons? Fuck them. Yeah, I don't like the Clintons either.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I don't understand why. Yeah. I don't understand why anti-corruption as an argument has to be like this single-sided thing. Because I've had people tell me that too. Well, what about so and so? And it's like, take them down too. Like, do you not get that corruption is one of the highest problems we have here in the country at the moment right now?
Yeah, I fucking hate the Clintons. You kidding me? Like, get them both.
Yeah, get them all. Take their money away.
Yeah,
take away their power.
There's actually another conspiracy theory. I don't know if you heard this one, that Epstein is actually like they replaced him with like a body double and killed that guy.
I haven't heard that, but also not outside the realm of possibility.
I think that one's more like crazy to think, though.
That one is a little wacky, but then again, you got to think there was that conspiracy too where they were talking about, was it Melania, how she had a body double?
Yeah, because I just feel like anytime they do that, the evidence is always like flimsy. Yeah. There's always some like low grade like video where it's like their face doesn't look like it should, and it's like, well, yeah, because it's a fucking shitty camera. But
what is up with that? Like, so surveillance, right?
Okay.
Just in general, why is it every time? Doesn't matter what the case is, where it's at, or when it happened. Every time you need like video surveillance, it's like the worst possible camera you could have ever put. Like, we're talking like every surveillance system in the country is 1991 webcam running on a phone line.
It's like, did you ever see that movie I Spy?
I Spy.
Not a lot of people have. It was with
It's a
Owen Wilson and I think Eddie Murphy. It's been a long time since I've seen it too. But there's like one of the guys was like a spy that like the agency loved, and so he always got like cutting edge shit. And then like Owen Wilson was like look at his spy cam, and it was like in a watch. And he's like, and look at mine, and he had like a fucking like camcorder.
He had an old Betamax videotaper.
What's that Mitch Hedberg joke though? That I think Bigfoot's just blurry.
Yeah.
Like he just actually is like he looks like that in real life.
Yeah, he just like lives pixelated. It's a condition.
But like yeah, I don't know. Do you think like with all of the people that could have been implicated with like Epstein, that like combined they had enough like money and resources to like stage something like getting him replaced with the devil and like freeing him? But like why would they if they could just kill him, like why wouldn't they do that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be outside the realm. I mean, I think we have shown time after time that as long as you have money, you can get away with anything. So it's not, I mean, I think that's what makes this one so plausible in the realm that like, it's not outside the realm of possibility. Like,
No, I think it's super suspicious.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's like, I know that he got murdered. Like people don't even just think it. Everyone knows it.
Was he in a private prison? Do we know if he was in a private or a federal prison?
I know that he was in like a really high security prison, but I don't know for sure.
Because like one thing that would add some gas to the fire on it would be if he was in a private prison, which we should have none anyways. But
yeah, I don't know. Are there private like top security like prisons?
It's hard to say.
I always feel like private prisons
up.
are like used for like low level inmates. Like I don't think they put like
private prisons are like real shitty too.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah,
like I don't think they have like
Yeah.
really like high level targets in like private prisons.
You would think not.
Because they
but
just
then
use them
again-
for like cheap labor.
Yeah,
so
they're just using us because they make profit off how many people they have in there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The point.
I mean, there was that Pennsylvania judge that was selling kids to the local private prison
Yeah.
for kickbacks.
Yep.
Kansas, at one point in time, cut a deal behind closed doors, the previous governor there, to like a $300 million private prison deal without consulting anybody.
Yeah. Well, like I don't know, just things that shouldn't be commodities shouldn't be privatized. Like you shouldn't use fucking prisoners as a source of revenue. Like you shouldn't have a private fucking prison. Like that's
Yeah,
and you can extend that argument to a bunch of things like healthcare. Like disease should not be a commodity. Like it should not be a source of revenue.
Yeah, well,
Like,
I mean, I made that comment on the show at least 3 times now. But, what diseases wouldn't exist if it wasn't a money game anymore?
yeah.
Instead of focusing on the profit, you can focus more on the cure.
So yeah, where do we stand? Epstein got murdered. Epstein got
He got
murked.
I think I'd like to think in this case, I think he got murdered. Somebody got a check and somebody got to him, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Otherwise, it was just the most incompetence that I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, just a failure of the system from
Just
every single.
A lot of people had to fuck up badly for him to have actually committed suicide.
Yeah.
So like, if he wasn't murdered, like, it's just gross incompetence, and a lot of people should lose their jobs for this shit.
You would think they would be held accountable,
Yeah.
but we won't see probably no action on it until after 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
In which case, we'll see if we have any action at all or none.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. But you think like a lot of people talk about like how powerful the Clintons are and how they got this trail of bodies and stuff like that. But like, I just think that like Hillary would be president if the Clintons were so goddamn powerful. Like that's the thing is that like the whole narrative was that Trump kept pushing was that she rigged the election, which for the primaries she pretty much did.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty clear. But like you still won, dude. Like you lost the popular vote and still won. So if the election was rigged in anyone's favor.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's been the running gag the whole time though, is they keep spouting it out, but then like the reality is like she would have had to have rigged it for him to win. Like that would have been the end result.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I think it's in like 20 states. The electors don't actually even have to cast their votes for whoever won in their state. So like at the end of the day, like they can if they wanted to rig the election in somebody's favor, they could have done it.
They absolutely
Like,
could.
anyone who thinks that like Trump is some sort of like subversive character who's actually like going to fight the system, if he really was to the extent that like his supporters think, he wouldn't have been president.
Exactly.
Like he wouldn't have, because they could have easily fucking rigged it so that he wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a lot of states where your electors are not technically required to vote for the winner. That's like, it's like actually like just like a common courtesy, like the winner of the popular vote gets all the delegates.
Yeah.
And the idea of that rule is like in the case of where the people are completely misguided, like you're supposed to counter them. It's like another balance worked into the Electoral College.
Yeah.
To prevent somebody like DT from rising.
Yeah.
To prevent the woefully incompetent.
But they wanted that though.
Yeah.
Like,
but then there are a lot of states though signing on to the proportional vote system where the state will delegate the delegates in proportion to the amount of votes or something like that.
which makes more sense than the Electoral College. Absolutely.
If you're gonna have the dumb system,
Yeah.
they
Because
should get rid of it.
40% of Californians are Republican, but like every election just stay home because it doesn't matter because 100% of the votes go Democrat. Same for Texas, like 40% of Texans are Democrat. Stay home.
Yeah.
Don't even fucking bother voting. Like that's how else do you like disenfranchise like a group of people to vote? Like how do you like then actually being like, yeah, your vote literally doesn't count, dude. It doesn't matter at all.
Yeah,
Like,
gerrymandering, stuff like that.
so like, yeah, how can you get people passionate about voting if they like? It's not even like my vote doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it absolutely doesn't.
Well, you can tell from the onset.
Like unless you're in a swing state, your vote does not matter.
Right, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida.
Yeah. Otherwise, like it doesn't matter, and it's by design that way. Like people don't want people to vote.
Oh yeah, I mean, just look in Alabama during the last election. They had police at the polls, like checking for warrants as people showed up to keep people away from the polls. So, I mean, it's 100% realistic that disenfranchisement is something that like a lot of political groups work for.
What do you think about that? Because like Bernie Sanders, when he gets to talk, like especially because he was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the comments are like, I'm a conservative, but he's making a lot of sense. Like when Bernie Sanders talks, his ideas are generally in line with the population. Like most people want what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like people are always thrown off by labels, but in actuality, his positions are always really popular. But his one that wasn't was like giving felons the right to vote or like allowing them to vote while they're still in prison.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that? Because that's like one that's not very popular that he has.
This is actually surprising to me that this isn't more popular. Felons, I think, should get their right to vote back once their sentence is up.
But he was saying that they should be able to vote while still in prison. What do you think? What do you think of that?
I wouldn't be against it. I don't. Number one, I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, let's look at the reasoning why you wouldn't want. Like, you don't want murderers.
But like,
casting votes.
What can they do, really?
Yeah, but like exactly. From like just a amount of vote perspective, they're not going to have that much influence. I mean, we're talking maybe 10,000 extra votes in any given issue.
Yeah.
The real reason that felons can't vote is it's a disenfranchisement plan, because the highest proportions of incarcerated people are, Black, Mexican, and Native American.
Yeah.
So it's just that many more votes you can't cast when you get out.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I'm super proud of Florida passing that ballot initiative. And I haven't actually looked into it more to see. I do believe it became law, but they had so much trouble getting it on there, but they finally did, to reinstate the right to vote for all their felons. There's like 4 million African American votes alone or something like that.
Yeah. Well, if you take away the right to vote from people who are incarcerated, well, now you have incentive to incarcerate political opposition.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a good point. I think the main argument is that you don't want people voting like against the things that put them in. Like if you have like a murderer candidate from the murder party, you don't want a bunch of murderers voting for him because he wants to make murder legal. Which is, I mean, don't get me wrong, that is a ridiculous argument. Somebody's made it somewhere, but I'm just for
But
example.
you look at like the civil rights movement. Like they were arresting, like Martin Luther King was in jail for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like so if you take away people's right to vote when they get incarcerated, you can just fucking any sort of political movement. You just start arresting their leaders, and now it dissipates. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, targeted opposition 100%. And then you got to think you got all these guys in power. It's not, I mean, it wouldn't also be outside their own possibility if they target you if you're a threat to them.
Yeah.
I mean, they got money. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Kind of got
Actually, no, that's actually good because it did bring up, you were talking about Bernie and like what people actually want. There was a company that released a study the other day talking about Medicare for all and how it will cause rural hospitals to close like crazy. And I have a few thoughts on this. So the study was done by a company called Navigant Incorporated or something like that. And they are not a NPO. They're not nonprofit. They're a for-profit consulting agency who specifically works with healthcare industries to make more money. And I thought this was really interesting because, like, they're using a lot of Republicans are using this study to fight back against Bernie. Socialist policies will kill your rural hospital. Blah 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 blah. But the thing is we've had closures in our state because our state did not expand Medicaid.
Yeah.
Just for what should be legally allowed by the Affordable Care Act, which is a whole nother thing. We can get into that a little bit later too if you want. So they're using this argument to say, like, this is why we shouldn't have Medicare for all, to expand private insurance. And the whole idea is that hospitals will lose money, part of their profit margin, because insurance pays more to them than Medicare will. That, like, insurance companies pay like $1.14 per dollar of service, and Medicaid pays 87 cents. So then my thought on that is why are hospitals run for profit anyways?
Yeah.
Like, I understand wanting to break even on costs like a public utility. But, like, why are you, like, if I'm cutting into your profit margin, like, do you have investors? Like, what's going on there with that?
Yeah.
And then I would think that, like, the basic idea here is that, like, if you, I think Delaney actually said this, like, if you ask an administrator if all your patients paid Medicare rate versus insurance rate, like, what would you rather have? And they say insurance because it makes them more money. Like, but not all your patients are paying either.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have them all pay, it seems like just from, like, a paper, like, on paper perspective, your hospital makes more anyways because now everybody is taken care of.
Yeah, it seems like it would actually open up a new market of people who were previously uninsured and are now insured and could actually go to your hospital. And, this idea, like, because Medicare would just take the place of insurance. So hospitals would still be paid out almost essentially the same.
Yeah.
And not just that, but Bernie's trying to make it more comprehensive. So
that's what I mean. I mean, so many people are X amount of medical bills away from bankruptcy, $1,000 or so. Yeah, exactly. So it just seems counterintuitive to say that without private insurance, hospitals will close, because it's like, but now everybody will be paid. Yeah. Like, that's all, like, to me, it just seems counterintuitive to say the other thing. So I thought that was interesting that group that did that study is a private for-profit equity group.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Yeah.
Weird how their study lands in their favor. That's weirdo stuff like that works.
On their website it says something like, we are determined to work with care providers, doctors, hospitals, insurance groups. And it's like, oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just thought that one was interesting. That's like what they're using. Then they're talking like I said, they said private insurance pays more. It's like, well, yeah, because they're for profit.
Yeah.
There's been this triangle of medical care profits, between pharmaceuticals, insurance, and certain doctor groups or hospitals or whatever. So they know, the hospital knows insurance is going to pay, pharmaceuticals know insurance is going to pay. So then they prescribe this, and it's just this big circle of profits.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that, like, nobody looks into the sources of, because you can find anything to support your argument. It's just that we don't have, like, the public isn't, like, information literate enough to actually look into like where these things are coming from. Because I do that all the time. Like I'll read like the Judge Report and like Daily Wire and stuff, like conservative outlets to see like if they're making compelling arguments, and they're not. They're just lying.
they're utilizing bad studies.
Yeah, and they.
That's a good segue.
There was that like there was a fact checker for the first like round of the Democratic debates. Do you remember reading that? Where they were just saying that things Bernie was saying were untrue, and then in their explanation were just saying that it was true. Like he was saying like Bernie Sanders says millions of people are working multiple jobs, but when like they said it was false, and like only 8 million people are working multiple jobs. That's millions.
Yeah,
that's not false.
Yeah, no, they say that if you actually want to look at the actual unemployment rate, you have to take away the part-time jobs, and they say like it actually floats more like 10, 11, 12% than 3 point whatever. Around
well, we have a lot of people who are underemployed. This is the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that oftentimes if you're desperate for work, you'll take a part-time minimum wage job, and they will make it part-time so that they don't have to pay you benefits.
Yep.
And then if you want to get a second job to have some more money coming in, it's hard to do because your schedule isn't set. So you can't really commit to 2 jobs at once because like the schedule is posted the week before you work. So you don't really get to talk to your other job about like, hey, I can't work these days. So it's...
And then if you're in like a right to work state too, you have exactly zero say in what they can do for you. Like a lot of people don't get that either. Like right to work is almost terrible. Actually, it is terrible.
No, it is terrible.
Yeah, almost is not a good way to phrase it. It is terrible. Like right to work, like just screws your ability to have any leverage against your employer.
But isn't it funny how they market it though? Like right to work sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, it does. So it's like it's my right, my human right to work. But like I don't remember exactly who it was. One of the representatives of God knows where said something along the lines of, we shouldn't raise minimum wage because that's a contract between the employer and the employee. And it's like, but the problem is in right to work, you can't negotiate that.
Yeah.
Like even if you're in a union, you can't negotiate that.
Yeah, that was the kind of thing about sometimes conservatives they'll cherry pick from like the Scandinavian model in order to support their arguments. So like, like gun control, they'll bring up that Sweden, that everybody has a gun, or they have the most like citizen gun ownership, something like that. I think it's Sweden. Not entirely sure.
Might be Switzerland.
Might be Switzerland. But they leave out that everyone has like compulsory military service, so everyone's actually like trained to it. And also like you're not allowed to own like ammunition.
Yeah.
And they'll also point out that a lot of the Scandinavian countries don't have a minimum wage. But they leave out the fact that they actually negotiate their own prices every 2 years. Like they just have a really strong. Yeah.
Well, it's just like the company I work for. We're in a right to work state, and our manufacturing plant has. And I don't work in that department. I work on a different side, but they've been working without a work contract for I think 3 years now going on, and they're union. And I'm surprised they haven't gone on strike because they were close at one point in time. But that's just the point, is they know that they really can't because then they'll just get let go and replaced.
Yeah, it's funny. Have you ever like? Because when I was younger, I worked for a bunch of like minimum wage jobs. I worked at like Jack in the Box, and I worked at Walgreens, and you have to go through the orientation. So it's like 2 days of watching videos. Yeah. And they cover like safety and things like that. But then both of them had a section about like unions. They're like, we like to handle things as a family. So if anyone comes in and says like, if you'd like to unionize, you tell them get the fuck out. you say I love my job. You get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I like my employer dictating my terms.
I love my boss.
Like I like making my boss money. No,
but no, it very much is that. Like if anyone comes to you with like a union card, you tell them to leave the store. It's like they're so scared of unions.
In our company, we have. If anybody ever talks about it, we have a meeting where they come out and they like, if you're thinking about it, this is why you shouldn't. It's like, well, you changed our pay structure, and guess who didn't get their pay structure changed? The union. Yeah. So it's like, and I've always been fascinated by that legal loophole that allows employers to basically tell you can't unionize, even though it's illegal for them to tell you that you can't unionize.
Yeah. And oftentimes, like, if you're, because I was listening to a podcast where they had talked about, like, if you wanted to start a union, like, how would you go about doing it? And he was saying, because he worked like a brewery, and he unionized the workers there. And he's like, you can only, like, when you're starting out, only bring in people that you trust to, like, keep their mouth shut. Because
that's a big one.
Like, the second, like, anyone catches wind of it, like, they can't legally fire you for unionizing, but what they can do is pick some random thing that you maybe didn't do exactly right and fire you for that reason.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, the second they hear that you might be unionizing, they'll just get you out of there on, like, a technicality. So.
100%. Especially if you're in right to work. They don't have to have a reason. They claim they do for lawsuit purposes, but they really don't.
Yeah, like you're
they can
at will employment. Like
they can document you and just be like, oh, his uniform was off color. That's a violation of our policy. We've wrote him up twice for it. You know, that's all we need.
Yeah, it's really a shame. We should definitely do like a segment on that.
I definitely
need to get more research done. But
I actually know a guy. I want to see if he'd be willing to do it. He's a union president for the International Bakers Union or something like that. He's their elected leader for their chapter of the union, and I'd like him to come out and talk about that stuff.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool.
It would be really cool.
I would definitely like to kind of look
down
more.
To the basement, though. He'll probably hear they're trying to take him out.
Yeah.
Talking about the conspiracies.
Hopefully the living room will be up to snuff by then. But I'd definitely like to look more
studio by then.
Into the history too of like how like Reagan like union busted, like you know about that, like especially like I think it was like the airlines, like he. But that's the thing is I don't know too much about it. It's just what I've heard.
There's a lot of like.
But like everyone always refers to him as like Union Buster Reagan, and I kind of want to do maybe a segment on like how he did that.
It's actually a big. Hey, real quick, add unions to the title on this one.
I was actually going to ask you if you wanted me to
add as we get off, add that stuff so people.
You guys have been on like this for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, so people know about it. So people know about it, so you can add it to the title so they know that we covered that today. Okay. And so I can remember for the descriptions when I upload them to the podcast site. Yeah. Anywho. Well, yeah, no, it's really interesting because I'm on this now, and we'll definitely do a full episode on this later because there's so much good stuff here. But a lot of people, like especially in the right to work areas and Republican-led areas, where they're like, it should be between you and your employer. It's like, but you forget what unions gave us. Yeah, like they gave you the weekend, they gave you the 40-hour work week, they gave you overtime. Yeah, they gave you like they can't make you work a non-description of your job. You know what I mean?
And if you got injured on the job, like you were just fucked.
Yeah. The loss of employer-sponsored pensions. I know we've talked about retirement in a previous stream, arguing with chat or debating with chat. Yeah. But the lack of retirement is actually one of the reasons. Is it's actually tied to the decline of unions in the country. Yeah, no, because most unions. That's still good. You can just click update on that one. Most unions, part of the deal was retirement. Because I got into an argument with this guy about it. We were actually discussing minimum wage, and they used the whole, should a burger flipper make $15? And I was like, well, I mean, if you're working full-time, there's no reason that you shouldn't be allowed to live. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. Yeah. Because all you're doing is devaluing that person, like, as a person. Because you don't know why they're working 40 hours a week, and it doesn't matter. Yeah. But if you're working full time, to me it was always like, why can't you survive? Yeah. Like, why can't you retire after like, why do you have to work 60 years before you can even think about retiring? And like they'll oftentimes be like, why do firefighters make 15? You think burger flippers should make as much firefighters? It's like, nah, dude, I think everyone's real wages should go up accordingly. What are you talking about? Yeah. It's interesting because I read a study one time too that talked about the minimum wage. Where they said like the people who are most fervently against the minimum wage going to 15 are the people who work in sectors where they make $15 an hour. Yeah, and it's like, well, then you should fight for your right to make more too. Yeah, you should negotiate your rate. See, like me, I can't negotiate my rate. I'm tied to a 10-year scale. Okay. I don't know anybody that's ever negotiated their rate. like realistically, like I've known guys in unions that do pretty good. I knew a guy in the UPS union at one point in time, and he did fairly well. And it was part of his work contract. He actually got that's actually another one too. He got injured on the job because they made him do a job that he wasn't signed for. And he got injured. They had to pay him because you made me do that job that I'm not contracted to do. So just stuff to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely like I've seen it on TV before, where someone will go and like ask his boss for a raise, but I very rarely have ever actually seen it in person. The only time I've ever seen anything similar to that was when I was working for a tree service. I got hired on already making $1 more than a guy who'd been there for 3 years. And he just we were just, it was a slow point in the day, and he asked me like how much I was making. I fucking told him, I'm not gonna lie. And he got fucking pissed, and he walked off that as soon as I told him. He went home and he didn't show up for work the next day. So eventually he ended up getting a raise to what I was making.
Actually reminds me.
But it's funny because my boss took me aside and was like, I know you're new here, but don't ever talk about how much you're making.
Oh no, that's what I was going to get into that, because that story right there. No, you absolutely should talk about what you're making. You should talk about it to everybody, because as workers, you got to think the guy next to you, he's in the same spot you are. If he's making $4 more an hour without a good reason, you should be getting $4 more an hour.
Yeah.
I just had a really good example of that, and I just can't think of what it was. I lost my train of thought. But that's a big one. That's exactly why they don't want you talking about your rate of pay. Oh, yeah, I remember now. A coworker of mine actually called me up the other day, and he's in an area where he hasn't been getting as much overtime. And he asked me, he's like, hey, just out of curiosity, what is the difference in what we're pulling home? And I told him, and he's like, I hope it doesn't bother you talking. I was like, hell no. I'll tell you about it all day long.
Yeah, I've never been shy about those kinds of things.
Yeah, you should absolutely be getting paid what I get paid.
There's a weird cultural norm that's just kind of been imposed on us, because it's why don't you?
It's like that old dinner table etiquette. You don't talk about these things at the dinner table.
Yeah. Or you don't put your elbows on the dinner. Why?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No, you can't use that fork. That's a salad fork.
You can't use your fork in the left hand. That's European style. What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Is that dumb? Is etiquette dumb?
No, it's etiquette. You need it.
Do you think so though? Because
It depends on what's going on.
Yeah, I guess it's it has to almost be on a case by case. Because if you're sitting at a dinner table, you don't want that guy next to you with his face in his plate, just wafting at his food. But I guess overall,
different strokes for different folks. Because I don't care.
I was about to say, but at the same time, I would just look at you and be like, all right, good flex, but yeah.
You're just sort of
the dinner table is not for competition.
Certain things
That's all I'm trying to say.
In Japanese culture, you can't point your chopsticks at anybody. You can't talk with your chopsticks either. But if you put them on the table, they can't be pointing at somebody. Just weird things that have developed over time, with different cultures, and it's kind of
if I want to give the finger guns to somebody on the street, I should be allowed to. I don't think that is an unreasonable request.
Do you ever think about that though? Ideally, the world will become more more connected.
Yeah.
We would become more peaceful, and people like to talk about how it's a big conspiracy about globalist one world government kind of thing. And I guess I don't really understand that fear, because I'm not. But you worried about maybe cultures dying out, if that were to happen?
See, this is actually interesting. This is kind of my take on. This is going to go back to 2016. There is this idea that the quote American culture is going away. That was the whole point of 2016. And that's pretty much what got DT elected in the first place. And what I kind of think is the country itself went through sort of an identity crisis, where we were forced to decide who we are. And obviously we're still fighting about it to this day, but this is the kind of the overall arcing theme. And so my take on it was is that these people on the right are fighting for a culture that's never existed. like they could think it does, and there are these certain things that they've always done, but like on paper, there is no American culture. There are things that make us American, but there's nothing that I don't know. Does that make sense?
I disagree. I actually think that they're talking about losing our culture when in actuality, like, our culture is pervasive and ever present. Like, they talk about how they're worried about us losing our culture, but like they don't see anything wrong with opening up McDonald's in every other country, you know, or our movies dominating like the global box office. Yeah. Like that's American culture. That's boxing out other cultures, but there's no issue there. It's only if, you know, God forbid, like, you know, there was that guy that was on Fox News that got made fun of by everybody because he was like, you know, my culture. He was a Mexican dude who was a Trump supporter. It was like, my culture is so like strong. Like if you know, Donald Trump doesn't get elected, there's going to be taco trucks on every corner. And everyone went like, that sounds lovely. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Ever had good street tacos, man?
Good street tacos.
Yeah. But it was like, everyone was making fun of him.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, but nobody ever says like, we shouldn't put McDonald's, you know, in England, you know, because that's American culture, like encroaching on some other countries, some other sovereign nations' culture. So, you know, it's very one-sided that we're so scared of other people coming in and like, but our culture is that, though. It is just a mix of all these different things. Like tacos are like considered like American food almost at this point. Like same as like pizza, like New York and Chicago, like are famous for their pizza. Like our culture is just a hodgepodge of all these different cultures already.
I guess that was kind of like what I was kind of sort of getting at was like there's so many different quote cultures that it's impossible to like pin it down. Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean when I say like a culture that doesn't exist. Like we have so many cultures, it's impossible to. But there are a few things that I think make us distinctly American. You know, that's
guns, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, talking that AR-15. That's what's up. 12 gauge double barrel.
But
44 caliber Magnum, most powerful handgun in the world.
Guns and, well, shoot, we're not even number one in obesity anymore.
Guns, the freedom of speech, the right to pray in schools.
I feel like that's almost everywhere though. Like you're allowed to pray in school if you want. Like almost every country.
I mean the requirement. That's the problem.
The requirement is that we don't do that anymore.
Because we don't pray in school. God is pissed. He wants to make sure that you pray and that you give your dues to Joel Osteen and repair his carpets after the mega hurricane.
It was funny. Like anytime there's like a school shooting, they'll say some dumbass shit like that. Like, you know, why didn't God intervene? Well, he's not allowed in schools anymore. And it's like, isn't God supposed to be all powerful? Like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, because there's not mandated prayer, he can't go in anymore. Yeah, like exactly. his strength is that limited that he can't fucking. Oh God!
So, like, this is actually something I've done a lot of research on. There is like a lot of this stuff, this prayers in schools and blah blah blah. A lot of this stuff actually really wasn't a thing until like 1950 whatever with Eisenhower.
Yeah.
And they call that, is it the Establishment Clause in the Constitution that prevents that? Like one nation under God.
Yeah, that was added in later. In God We Trust wasn't on our money. Yeah, because that's included in the First Amendment that, you know, the government won't recognize any
with no respects to any established religion. I think is the phrasing. In God We Trust didn't exist. That was added. All that stuff, you know. Our national slogan, in God We Trust. You know what it was before? Is E Pluribus Unum. Yeah, sorry, that just reminded me of another Hedgeberg joke. If you're gonna quiz me, you gotta give me time to answer. All that stuff. You know, these weren't arguments until Eisenhower. You know, the National Day of Prayer. Like, there's a convincing constitutional case that is a violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
So, on a side note, Church of Satan got their religious exemption finally from the IRS. So
nice.
Props to them.
Nice. I actually don't think that any religion should be exempt, but whatever.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. I just thought I'd bring it up.
I'm glad they're on the level playing field now, whatever.
Yeah. They're the finest statue builders we have in the country right now.
It's funny though, because like Christians, like, it almost seems like, even though they're the ones who like love God and all that stuff, it almost seems like they're the ones who think their God is so stupid. Like it's true though, because like
way, yeah,
because they think how like that their God is so limited and small and petty and weak. Because like why was like stem cell research like fought for so long? Because Christians' belief of what
fought.
What their belief is about like the soul and like fertilize, like they think that zygotes have souls,
right?
And it's almost like, how dumb do you think God is? Like, do you think that like fucking a petri dish that like someone makes a zygote in, God's just blindly throwing souls into every little thing?
100%.
Not having mandated prayer in school prevents God from helping it. It's so like disparaging to God.
Oh, absolutely.
Their idea of what God is like really fucking weak.
It's a cherry picked God. Like that's literally what it is. And it's like there are real things that we could do to prevent a lot of this stuff. Yeah. Like I've always wondered, like they always utilize this as like an excuse, right? Like if I do pay my just dues and I will get my just rewards, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But we could make a better heaven here on earth if you really stop and think about it. Like,
yeah,
like we accept, this is just a few things I'm going to spout out here just because I think they're interesting. Like we accept death as a part of life when it really doesn't have to be. I think eventually somebody will figure out how to reverse aging. We accept terrible things happen because it's, quote, part of God's plan. But that's just a cop-out. Like, that's a bad thing to say, in my opinion, because it's like, well, so-and-so died as just part of God's plan. It's like, no, he died because of X reason. Like, we could prevent that.
Yeah, and it's almost, though, like, I don't know, the people who claim to be Christian the most just fundamentally misunderstand God. Like, it's like he gave us, like, everything on, like, we have enough resources on this planet for everyone to live happy, fulfilled, full lives. But the people who are the most like selfish and the most wasteful, like the US is what, 5% of the world's population, but it uses 50% of the world's resources. And how many like tons of food do we just throw away because we
way too much.
I throw away a lot.
Not us, like on an individual level, but companies that just throw away food.
I know a certain convenience chain in the area that tosses all their warmer food every hour.
Yeah,
just so it can, quote, be fresh.
Yeah,
I think it was Chicago that passed the law finally that requires them to donate their food. I mean, look, there's a city here 3 hours away from here that there was a lot of people were doing like a community feed where they were just taking food and giving, but because they didn't have a food license, the state came out and poured bleach on everything so they couldn't give it out. You hear stories about people getting arrested for feeding the homeless, feeding immigrants,
or
so they don't die in the desert.
That one guy, border patrol guy was like dumping out fresh water that was left for so that people wouldn't die.
4 or 5, 6 activists that got arrested, and I think they were sentenced to like a few months in jail.
Yeah, it's just though this idea of God, it comes from such like a privileged place of like you're in a first world country. Oftentimes you come from money, so your problems are very much like this could just be God's plan for me. My struggles are, but some people in the world are born, they go, oh, I'm hungry, and then they die, before they hit the age of like 3. It seems like a very short-sighted plan from that perspective, but it doesn't have to be that way. Do you think maybe God's plan is that you do something about that?
That all goes down to the philosophical problem, the problem of evil. If there's 3 attributes that God has to have, and by having them all logically means he can't exist. Like the ability to be omniscient, omnipresent, and all loving. Like if he's all loving, why does suffering exist?
What is that? Is that Epicurus?
I think so.
Yeah.
And if he's basically
if
the
God
whole problem,
if God is able but not willing, then he's malevolent. If God is willing but not able, then he's not omniscient. If God is willing and able, then whence cometh evil? And if God is neither willing nor able, then why call him God?
Yeah.
That's what
That's
it
pretty
is.
much
Yeah.
it. That he's unable to help us is the final solution, or doesn't
Yeah.
care to.
Yeah, which
Which I find the inverse problem a little bit more fascinating, but it's hard to find the sources on it. But it's the problem of good. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, but we have the capacity to solve a lot of these problems. Fucking Akon is out there, giving power to whole swaths of Africa. Like these, we have the resources to do this. There's more vacant homes than there are homeless people. So it just seems like if there is a God, he gave us everything that we need to make a good world, and we're just fucking it up.
Yeah.
And the people who are fucking it up most are the people who claim to be the most Christian, like Donald Trump won like the evangelical vote, but there's not like a deadly sin that he doesn't embody. Dude's fucking lazy. Dude fucking
Well, it's just like
is
you
a
said.
is
It's
a
always a cop out.
He
is a
drinks
glutton.
He drinks Diet Coke.
Dude is a glutton. The dude is lustful. Like he's cheated on every one of his wives.
He's abused them.
Yeah,
The
he
one where
he
pulling out her
raped one of
hair.
his wives.
And pulled her hair out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pulling her hair out.
So clearly he's wrathful. Like if you see it all the time, like how angry he gets on Twitter. He's prideful. Like there's that compilation of everything that he claims to be the best at. He's jealous or he's envious of like Obama.
Isn't that like the
So he's
textbook definition of the Antichrist?
It's just
like,
every single deadly sin. Well, the 7 deadly sins are not actually like clearly stated in the Bible.
Right.
Like that is something that like religious philosophers came up with afterwards.
after the fact, yeah.
But it still stands that like this is a dude that's antithetical to every like core Christian value. Like the dude hasn't read the Bible. That he hasn't. Like
no, most of them haven't.
Most Christians have. Most Christians get their information from whatever their pastor says.
Yeah. Did you know that God's name is jealousy?
Did not know that.
Yeah, I think it's in Exodus. He says, "And the Lord spoketh unto me, and he said, my name is jealousy."
Okay. Well, he says
So
that.
something
He
like
says
that.
that a lot. That he's like a jealous God. That's the Old Testament God. I'm not a huge fan of. He really mellowed out with the birth of his son.
It's that burning bush.
He's a very very vengeful, angry guy.
Chill them out.
But
I love mythologies.
But the New Testament God, the Sermon on the Mount kind of God of like loving your enemy, the New Testament did away with the Old Testament, so they should be following the New Testament. And in that one, God is a lot chiller of a dude, which seems to be more accurate. Like, I don't feel like an all-powerful, all-knowing being would be tied to like such petty human emotions like like jealousy and wrath. There's people on earth that we idealize because they're like such Zen people. Like, you really think like God is less than that?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something too. Talking about like we talked about, I think, a while back about the Fermi paradox with aliens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we apply these principles to like aliens. Like, we assume like they're either wrathful and they're going to come get us, but like, or they're going to come in peace, and solve all of our problems. But we don't apply that to God. Like, we don't, even though it's like a similar concept.
I feel like aliens would pose an interesting question to religious people in that, like, does every one of them have their own, like, Jesus? Like, did Jesus come in the form of all of these? And,
when we storm Area 51, we'll find out.
The idea of, like, heaven and hell and souls, are animals that are comparable intelligence to human beings, like dolphins and chimpanzees. Are they saved? What is it? It only makes sense if you don't like delve too deep into it.
Have you ever seen that meme of the two churches across the street from each other who like with their signs?
Yeah.
Like the one church on the one side is like no animals don't have souls, and the other side is like free soul for every dog.
Yeah.
And then like they do this back and forth for like 20 pictures.
You go through though, like, is it the simplicity of the creature that determines whether or not it has a soul? Like, do snails have souls? Do flies? And then you start getting further, like, does a squirrel have a soul? Okay, then does like a dolphin or like an elephant? Like elephants are, really intelligent. They mourn their dead. Like, those are Like,
this
do they
is,
have souls?
what makes Hinduism a very interesting religion, because it's literally like the religion of no religion in a way. Like, I'm talking classical too, not like modern. Like, at a base level, like Hinduism is like, yeah, you do you, believe what you want, and like every god is like the face of one god, and it doesn't matter. Like, you could be like a Christian and still be like a Hindu.
I think you're confusing Hinduism with Buddhism.
Oh no.
You're not?
No,
because
no,
Buddhism is
classical
like
Hinduism is
'cause
like that.
Buddhism is like that too.
A
And
lot
that,
of
like, you
it's-
can be a
yeah.
Christian and a Buddhist, because Buddha is not like a god that you have to worship. Buddha just means the enlightened
yeah,
one.
they're pretty similar. But
well,
yeah,
Buddha is a prominent figure in Hinduism.
Yeah.
But Hinduism does have its own like pantheon of gods too, though.
yeah. They
Like, it
got
is kind of a
ones.
separate thing, and so it is opposed to Christianity, because the God in the Bible says himself that he's not the only God. Like, when
Yeah.
Moses like first talks to him, he's got to go and like compete with the Pharaoh's like
Mhm.
gods, like the gods of Egypt. Like, there are multiple gods in the Bible.
Yep.
Like,
It's in
it's
the-
just
it's in
that
the-
Yahweh is supposed to be the most powerful
It's
of
in
them.
the
So
commandments.
you couldn't be, but you couldn't be a Hindu and a Christian, because Hinduism has multiple
Mhm.
gods. You couldn't effectively worship them, because you're supposed to only worship God. So, but you could be a Buddhist because there is no God in Buddhism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just interesting. I always thought about that. Just
Yeah.
like the classical thing, because like I said, like in Hinduism. Okay, so I guess more appropriately, you could be a Hindu and a Christian, but not a Christian and a Hindu. If that makes more sense.
I guess if you want to like, it just seems like
You're
because
just cutting
Yahweh
straws.
Yahweh isn't mentioned in Hinduism, so like you could add him to the pantheon if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah,
The same way
very
that
easily.
like Buddha is like a figure in Hinduism, and it's its own separate
Chinese mythology and Japanese mythology.
thing. Oh, like Shintoism, where
Yeah.
like everything has a soul.
Yeah. Everything
Um,
has an aspect.
Yeah, which is why like Buddhism was super compatible with
And mythology in the
Shintoism.
title.
But yeah, I don't know. Where do you stand? Do you find yourself to be like a spiritual person or a religious person in any aspect?
I would like to think so, but I think I find myself more in the camp of we should be more focused on making heaven on earth.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we would need, like, I think a lot of people utilize that like as a cop out. Like I said earlier, it's like, oh, I can do terrible things because I'll be forgiven in the end.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no,
Yeah.
no, you won't.
Yeah. And
So to me,
and it is a comforting thought
Yeah.
to people.
I
That
think
like,
it's the easier path, but like it makes us devoid of like what is actually going on in reality, because it's easy. It's
Yeah,
easy to take
we
that
don't-
path and be like, as long as I'm good, I'm all right.
yeah,
It's almost more selfish to think that way.
because you don't hold people accountable because you say that they'll be judged.
Yeah, their
you know,
judgment's coming their way.
I don't have to go and like help these starving people because they will be given salvation in the afterlife.
Yep.
And it always seems like you're pushing. So it's almost though like, shouldn't you be more concerned with the thing that you know is real versus like the thing that could
Mhm.
be real?
See, it's always my argument for like the Big Bang versus young Earth creationism, which I don't believe in at all, but just from a perspective of what sounds more impressive.
Well,
Like, think about this. Like, in one story, you got finger snapped. Here you are 7 days later. Or in the other side, it's like through trials and tribulations and millions of years of blazing inferno and so forth, through literally nothing but random chance, here we are.
well, there are civilizations that are older than what young Earth creationists think the Earth is. So it's not even worth entertaining.
No, I know. I'm just using that as an example. Because, like, I was talking to a lady about that the other day. I was like, I mean, just what sounds better? Like, here we are.
And that's always kind of the lampooning that religious people throw at atheists is like, you just think the world randomly exploded out of existence. Like, no, you think that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I think through the fire and tribulations of the random universe, here I stand before you, a product of exactly everything that's happened before me.
Yeah. And, there's going to be things that we're not
Yeah.
going to be able to understand. like the nature of God, or if there is a God
Yeah.
or anything like that, because it doesn't necessarily answer the question of where the universe comes from. It just
Mhm.
it just pushes it a step further of like, well, then where did God come from? Maybe God's always been here. Well, then maybe the universe has always been here in some way or another. So it's I don't claim to know all the answers, but I just think that if God existed, he would be a lot better than the God that is described in the Bible.
What's that song?
What if God was?
No, that's what I defaulted to, but that's not the one. I found God on the corner of where were you? Yeah, no. Yeah, it's the Frey song too. Get copyright struck if I sing it because it'll be so on key.
Yeah. But best not do it then, huh?
What if God was one of us?
If I could take it down right now immediately.
Yeah, or banned. We're gonna get banned for talking God. This is what God's gonna come back and do. He's gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm petty. Shut off your stream." Yeah, this is his
you thought that I wasn't. You
thought I wasn't gonna do nothing, huh?
But, I don't know.
So, yeah, that's also we should definitely talk mythology at some point in time too.
Sure.
Just other things too.
Yeah.
Talking about shutting things down. What about Disney scrapping all your Fox movies now?
Oh yeah, so that was an interesting headline I caught the other day. So Disney scrapped like all of Fox's in-work projects. A few of the notable projects were a Magic the Gathering movie, a Mega Man movie, and a Sims movie.
Good. The fuck they gonna make a Sims movie? Like,
yeah, right.
It's just regular shit.
It blows my mind.
But
Excellent.
I don't know, man. I would rather just have more original ideas and not tied to previous properties. Because fuck it, I don't want to Magic the Gathering because it's not going to be good.
Well,
it's not going to be good.
I do have something to say about Magic the Gathering. There is a rich lore there, albeit confusing. But there's some potential for some good stories to be told there. But if you're going to use the Magic the Gathering IP, I would rather them make like a 10-episode Netflix series or something along those lines, because there's so many stories you can tell there. Netflix, buy my script. There's so many stories you can tell in there that would be better suited for something like that rather than a singular movie.
I'm not like, I never played Magic the Gathering, but I can infer that it's going to be a lot more than what a movie could handle, because I did like the Warcraft movie. God, Warcraft lore is so like so much. Like there was no way that they were gonna get it all in there.
Yeah,
and like they did their best, but
that Warcraft movie is a really interesting case. Like they put, A+ effort into that movie. I liked it. Didn't understand what was happening, but I liked it.
It was all right. It definitely. I could see it being hard to follow from somebody who was not familiar with the lore, because a lot of stuff gets kind of glossed over for time's sake. Yeah, certain things don't need to be movies, though. That's the thing. Same things like Avatar: The Last Airbender. It exists already in a perfect form. Like you don't need to make a live action like movie where you cut out entire portions of the show. Some things like you have to listen to the story that's being told and decide what medium best suits it. Not everything is meant to be a movie.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I said like a lot of things would be much better suited for series. But then you also have to get the production in too. That's what also sucks, is because like I guess you have to choose your like lesser of two evils, because like if you do decide to do like a internet series, Netflix or Hulu or whatever, your budget might be heavily constrained. And if you're doing something like say Magic the Gathering, you might not have the effects budget that you need, and it's going to look dumb anyways.
Dude, did you see that
Excuse me.
Disney is now having like a bundle?
Yes.
Like they're kind of divorcing themselves from Netflix, but now it's going to be like $15 to get Disney, Hulu, and ESPN, I think.
ESPN Plus, yeah.
Yeah.
$12.99. The caveat on that, or the asterisk on that, is I think the Hulu has ads.
Oh, okay. Well, is there like a package where I could pay? Because, God, watching Hulu with ads is a fucking nightmare. I don't know if you ever seen the show This Is Us.
No, I haven't. I hear good things.
Oh man, I've only seen the first season because I pirated it. So I watched it like ad free, and it really lets like the momentum build. and dude, I was like fucking crying every episode, you know.
Mm.
And then I got Hulu, but with the ads.
Oh,
And then
cheap.
yeah, and then it was on there, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know the show was on here. Like
Just
I really,
pop up the $10.
Well,
yeah, I really loved the first season, so I tried watching it on Hulu with the ads, and oh man, the momentum like just comes to a fucking halt.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like a crescendo, like it builds, and then you have the release,
Yeah,
and then when you watch it on that, it's like it's building and then cut.
This episode
then you
of
hop
This
on your-
Is Us is brought to you by OxyClean. Do you
then
got
Fuck
stains
those
in your...
ads.
Yeah, and then I'm on like Facebook, like waiting until it to come back on, but it divests you from
Right. It
from the-
breaks the
yeah.
momentum of the show. Yeah, because there's a lot of good series that I really actually waited to watch until they were like, quote, on DVD or on Netflix or whatever. And it definitely does. Like, shows are much better when you binge them, in my
man.
opinion.
I am so like spoiled now because I have like a good TV
Yeah.
and like stream HD and stuff, but I have a huge DVD collection. So I tried to show my friend, she was hanging out. I tried to show her some of my favorite movies that I had on DVD and popped it in, and I was like, this is hideous. Fucking,
Dude,
I
I like
can't
some of
believe
that old
I
stuff.
did it for so long.
Have you
so
ever-
long being poor.
Have you ever gone back and watched like a VHS? Like about a year ago, I have a VHS player and I popped in The Mummy Returns. Ooh boy,
Oh man,
that was a ride.
yeah. I tried to watch Pan's Labyrinth because that's like one of my favorite
Oh, yeah.
movies of all time, and man, it was just like so noticeable the quality that I took it out and I just ended up buying it on Amazon or I rented it for
Yeah.
like $3. I was
Right.
like, that's absolutely worth it
Yeah,
to
you
get
that
the
upscale.
better quality.
Yeah, no, it matters too because
Oh.
I remember being in that.
Someone wrote out on chat, do you guys like UFC?
Yes,
I don't
I'm
know.
going to
Do
be
you
getting
guys?
to that one.
Yeah.
So I super duper pumped here. We haven't got to
I
that
love
one yet.
watching men wrestle around on a mat.
That's what
In
I'm
a
saying.
cage, even better.
We grease ourselves up and we
No, we do,
I-
no.
we actually are more into Greco-Roman wrestling.
George St. Pierre proved that we don't grease ourselves up. But yeah, no, definitely in MMA room. That's one of the topics I do want to get to tonight. Eventually, I'm going to spin it off into its own show, but
Yeah, I'll have to start following it more closely. I fell off of sports because I haven't had cable in so long that like,
well,
because I used to be like super into football. Like,
actually, I was going to utilize you were talking about the Plus bundle, ESPN
Yeah.
Plus, because
That's-
ESPN is owned by Disney.
yeah, that's not a bad
And,
that's not a bad move.
From a sports perspective, I also don't have cable. A lot of people are mad about the Plus deal, and I'm not a fan of the pay-per-views being behind it. It makes no sense to me at all. But for $4.99, what it is right now, I mean, that's a wealth of fight content. I
Yeah.
mean, not only do you just have the UFC, but you also have PFL too, which I'm a fan of their structure because they do it different. Like the UFC is more about like you win, and then if you can promote yourself good enough, you get your title shot. But like PFL, it's points based. Like as you win fights, you accrue points until you get to the quote playoffs, and then you fight off for the championship. And they pay better, which is for what they're doing.
Yeah.
They deserve to be paid.
Yeah,
100%.
which is a cool thing that I do like about UFC is that the women athletes are kind of paid comparable to the male athletes, which is not
Yeah.
like that in almost any other sport.
It's all based
God, I
on.
love the girl fighters in that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
well-
swift kick, that was the best.
Oh man,
That's
that was
just-
scary.
That's because like in real
She was
life, dude,
intense.
like in real life, like
That was
women
out-
fights are way more intense than like
Oh,
dude
my
fights.
dude.
If dude fight breaks out at a bar, like they're hoping
I'm not
someone
gonna
comes in
lie.
and breaks it up.
Yeah.
But like two women are that
No,
like
but
get in a
that-
fight.
The
Oh,
big one
Dude,
with the
when-
kick where
dude.
she was down.
women's MMA has grown so well, and they come to fight. Like
yeah.
women's fight, like the Cyborg Spencer fight, dude. Like, I give it to Cyborg, and she's not with the UFC anymore. But Felicia was tough, and the Cyborg pieced her up. Like they come to fight. Shevchenko just defended her belt too last Saturday. I didn't get to see it. She did win, which was expected. I mean, Carmouche has already come out and said she wants the trilogy fight. But how about that Lukey and Perry fight? Have you seen the pic? You probably haven't seen it. But the picture of that guy's nose, Mike Perry, his nose was fucked up. Like he ate a knee hard. So, no. Back to the Plus deal though. You know, a lot of people hate it. I don't like the pay-per-views behind it. I have a workaround with that. There's a Buffalo Wild Wings up the street that nobody's ever there, so I just go watch the pay-per-views there.
Yeah.
And so UFC 241, is coming up this Saturday. DC Stipe, that's going to be a awesome fight. Very awesome fight. Just out of curiosity, who you guys got, chat? Stipe or DC? I'm rooting for DC. Stipe should be a bigger star based on his accomplishments and the fact that he's a firefighter. He's like a legitimate hero. But I just like DC more. So we'll come back to that one here in a little bit. In your co-main, you got Diaz and Anthony Pettis. That's going to be awesome. I think with the layoff, I'm going to give the favorite to not Nate Diaz. Good Lord, I just said with the layoff. I think I'm going to give it to Showtime, assuming he can keep his hands from breaking. That was his last injury. He fought Wonder Boy, got him with that Superman punch. I'm still going to give it to Pettis. I think with the layoff, he's probably got a better chance. In the third round bout or third middle round bout, whatever they call that, the citizens fight or whatever they call it these days. I'm trying to think who's in that spot. Let me pull up that card real fast.
That one time that we watched the fights at Buffalo, kind of got every prediction right.
Yeah, that was a rough card too.
Yeah.
Let me see. My favorite card of the year so far was actually 238. You didn't see that one with me, but that one was damn good. That one was stacked top to bottom. Didn't get nearly as many buys as it should have, I think. But again, it's that behind that plus platform. It's a growth platform is exactly what it is. And I cannot get this damn thing to pull up. Who's in the third string fight?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I know. I look like a fool here because I'm trying to get this pulled up.
Anyway, we'll use this dead air to
there we go.
Get my slam poetry. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You guys are missing out on it now.
Got that UFC. Got to come in and see.
Oh man, don't.
Yeah,
don't.
That's all I got.
Please.
That's all I got.
I was just joking. I wasn't. I absolutely wasn't going to.
I'm not. In the third string middleweight, you got Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa. That's a fight we've been waiting for. They hate each other hardcore because Yoel got popped for PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs. And Paulo Costa talking about shit. Yoel then comes back and accuses Paulo Costa of cheating with the IV drip, and then a video came out. Got him suspended from this. This is like the fourth time they've been scheduled to fight. So there's a lot of drama there. They hate each other. I'm going to give it to Yoel Romero because that guy defies logic because he's like 42, 43 or whatever. And the guy's cut like a Greek god somehow. I mean, clearly it's the steroids and the supplements, but no, I'm going to give it to Romero on that. Those are the big three. Everything else is pretty so-so. The fourth fight is kind of whatever. I'm not too super excited for that. But then the Ian Heinz and Derek Brunson, that'll be a good one. I'm going to give it to Brunson. I think he's a better wrestler overall. But I haven't seen a whole lot of Ian Heinz. So it's looking to be a good card. Preliminaries seem like they're all pretty mid-tier. It'll be good nonetheless. But in the main event, did anybody answer me when I asked who they got? Oh, well, that's all right. I'm going DC, though. I think number one, I kind of think he deserves the win. And then they had that really nice E60 video, which I haven't seen yet. I don't think it's out yet either. But it kind of talks about DC's story, and I didn't know this, but he lost his 3-month-old daughter in a car crash. He's kind of gone through a lot in his way to becoming a professional fighter and stuff like that. So I got to root for my man DC. Plus, he's hilarious. His internet presence is great. He talks mad smack on everybody. So I'm not. Yeah, they can do that. They're tough. I mean, I'm not going to argue with them. Dude, knock me out in a heartbeat. So that's where I stand.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Had not a lot to contribute on that segment.
Yeah, that's all right.
Better
You
learn.
you best to step up your game. Yeah, I'd like to eventually spin off and do an MMA analysis show too. I really think that would be fun to do. I got a buddy of mine who we're hardcore into it, and just look at that. A lot of people Like Cyborg got released from the UFC because her management team is horrible. And I think a lot of people are clamoring for her to go to ONE FC. And from a success standpoint, that'd be smart. But I think she should go to PFL, fight for that $1 million. I mean, you got to get paid. That's what I think would be a better option for her. Just get paid, get what you deserve. I don't even want to see the Nunes rematch. Like, it's arguable that she got KO'd, I mean, relatively easily. Or maybe she got caught early, and, you know, you can argue that all you want. But I think she should go to PFL. I don't think a rematch would be. I don't think that's the way to go, unless the paycheck is behind it. That's all.
I agree.
Yeah, that's all I got on that one.
Sure.
Let's see here. So there's that. You know, if you guys have anything in the chat that you want to bring up, any questions, you know, feel free to throw them out there. We're entering that segment of the show where we're gonna take some viewer questions if we got any.
Well, our chat isn't really working anyways. I have to look off my chat.
That's all right. I don't know what's up with that. That's an interesting one. That's something new.
Mm-hmm.
I did mark country music as a tag for some reason, so we should probably bring up our favorite country song.
Which one? The Deplorable Choir?
No.
Don't care if you're white.
I was thinking more about I got them horses in the bag. Horse track is attached.
We just lost like 5 followers.
Yeah, we
because
did.
of
This is where
that is
this
Matt
is where
Black
the,
got
this
them
is where
shoes
the
and black to man.
this is where the petty lord comes in. I hate that song, and shut your stream down. It's 100% what's gonna happen. So now you can't lie. You can't lie to me, Twitch. Country music, I covered it. That's all.
That is all. We are running a little long though.
I think I wanted to bring up one last little thing,
Sure.
which I thought was kind of interesting, because we've talked about like lab grown meat and stuff. There's a company in Finland, because they're ahead of us in everything, Solar Foods or something like that, and they kind of came up with using NASA research, came up with a way to make a wheat style protein out of effectively CO2, air, and electricity. I think the concept was they utilize the yeast and whatnot and what have you, and they basically refine it with those things and create this flour-like substance that's 50% protein.
I feel like that's not from thin air. You introduced a whole bunch of different ingredients to make it. So
Well, 2 of them were air. Yeah. But it's a carbon neutral technology. That's kind of the point, and it's not reliant on like place. Like you could do it. You could theoretically set it up anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the new food for the masses. Is this protein powder? Here's your rations.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Did you ever seen Snowpiercer?
Snowpiercer. I can't say I have.
Yeah, it was a bad movie. It was a bad movie, but it was
In that case, I think it should have won an Oscar.
yeah, that's with your taste in movies. That I wouldn't be surprised. It was a bad movie, but it got a lot of like
should have won a Grammy for
got a
best
lot of like positive critical reviews.
See?
because it was like a kind of a independent movie.
Okay.
Chris Evans is in it though.
Oh, really?
Captain America. Yeah, it's a real fucking dumb movie. But spoiler alert: by the end, it's like revealed that he had to eat babies. The way it works is that like they're on like a train because climate change took over and the world's in like a new ice age, so they have to stay moving at all times or they would like freeze over. So they're just on this train that goes in circles.
I don't know how long you can push that as a show. Is it a show or a movie?
No, it was a movie.
Well, it's
Okay, I thought it was a show.
but anyway, like
I know what you're talking about, and I'm gonna bring.
Oh
that
no,
up
there is
too.
a Snowpiercer show coming out, but I don't know if it's based off the movie. I think
'cause
the
that
movie
looks
might be
good.
I think the movie might be based off of a book. I'm not sure, but yeah, like so. But all the lower class passengers are in like the back of the, and they eat like these bars, like these brown bars. That's the only food that they have. But then it gets revealed that they're made out of like cockroaches, and like they freak out and they're like, "What? You've been feeding us cockroaches?" But then at the end of the movie, he admits that he like ate babies at one point. And it was like, well, why are you freaking out about the cockroaches? Like you, you ate fucking babies, dude.
I feel like we're glossing over the real problem here.
It's the funniest line too, because he's like, he's crying and he's trying his best to like deliver it, but he's like, I know what people taste like. I know that babies taste best.
What? Oh my god.
No, it's a fucking dumb movie, dude.
And then that's when the other guy's like, and you're in a cult? Like, no, like that's the thing that pisses him off the most. No. So, I think we covered a good array of topics tonight.
Yeah,
now for
kind
right
of
now.
petering off.
We got a little
It
bit of
seems to
whatnot,
be
too.
the consistent theme of our, like, we start off kind of slow,
We
and then we get into like a
actually-
big discussion in
We
the middle.
actually we did cover all the topics in our title.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
Yeah, we got to
Then
keep
we
them around.
went off a little bit on some tangents,
Oh,
and then it
yes, we
seems to
did.
always be the case, and then we kind of like peter off towards the end.
Then we get brought back in. That's the key. That's the key. But yeah, no. So if you're new to the stream or new to the show, whatever, we have. We're also on YouTube. We do these shows here just to kind of talk about whatever we want to talk about, and we also have gaming related content. We do a couple of these. We try to do a couple of these a week. Saturdays are a different kind of stream where we're trying to do a bunch of 4-player co-op games because those are fun and nobody really plays them. We're also on YouTube where you can find these streams after the fact. And once we get our act together, we also have the audio available in podcast form, which we'll be releasing more regularly from here on.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna be spending the rest of the night doing after
Yeah,
we get
getting
off of
caught
here.
up.
Is just uploading all of the stuff that we should have been.
Yeah, and you can find those on you can find those podcasts if you like the audio, you want to share it with your friends or share it on social media, you know, on pretty much all the major platforms. I know we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, it's the big two. We're on Breaker, Public Radio. So, you know, look it up. If we're not on one, you know, let us know some way or another. And then we'll work on getting those uploaded. So, yeah, I think that's about the best plugs that we can get here. You know, this show's pretty fun. Like we talked about earlier, we're going to try to get guests on and expand the array of topics and try to do more focus shows as we go on. And with that, you know, I think that's about where we're at.
All right, yeah.
Anything you guys want to add?
Drink Red Bull.
Oh.
Yeah, don't drink Bang.
Don't drink Bang
is bad.
anymore.
This episode of the show is brought to you by Gamer Fuel. PepsiCo sponsor us. All right, you can end her there.
Okay. Where is...
Stream.
Oh, I have to go down.
Yep.